Holiday crafting is here. Let's jump right in. Today we're making 4 Christmas decor DIYs. Today is the Everything Christmas playlist hosted by these lovely ladies that you see here. I have their channels listed in the description box below, and don't forget to check out the playlist as well. For this project, I'm using IOD's Tapers mold, and I had some resin that I had poured before that I had a little too much, and I didn't want to waste it, so I had already poured in some of that into this taper. So that's what you see there that's white, and I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the rest of that taper, and what's left I'm going to pour in this other ornament mold. It's also from IOD. I did use the quick set resin for this. So now this I'm going to give a coat of black chalk paint on the front and the back as well. I'm going to be adding a patina to this piece, and the patina that I'm going to be using is Dixie Belle's, and it's the iron paint that I'm going to paint on, and then I'm going to be spraying it with the blue patina spray. It's supposed to give it a rusty look, and I forgot to record the spraying of it, but you just simply spray it, set it aside, and let it dry. Again, once the iron paint is dry, I sprayed it with the blue patina spray, let that dry and let it sit, and now look at this rusty goodness. I ordered a package of pendant bails from Amazon, and it came in a package of 100 for about $4. So I'm using that on the back of this ornament. And I used some Gorilla Glue to adhere it to the back, and then I painted it with some black chalk paint, and I'm just touching it up a little with a little bit of gold rub and buff. For this project, I'm using one of these tags that I got on clearance last year at Dollar General, and these graphics that I printed out from Graphics Fairy. I'm using a paintbrush and some water just to paint the water around this picture so that I can tear the edges back. I don't want such a straight line. I want them to look more organic. Because I am going to decoupage that graphic onto this tag, I'm going to give the tag a coat of white chalk paint to cover up those words. These little words were also at the bottom of that graphic that I printed out, and I'm going to be using this musical scrapbook paper, and I'm going to make a little tag for the bottom of this picture. Once I got my scrapbook paper to the size I wanted it, I did take the edges and I put it in this little punch so that I could round off the edges. I inked around the sides of the papers and the little tags with my ink pad just to give it a little bit of definition. Now that I've got it like I want it, I'm just going to use a glue stick to glue it down. Before I actually glue the angel down, I'm going to be adding some paint around the edge of the tag, and I'm trying to mix together some different blues and even some yellow to kind of get the colors of the sky around the angel. So I'm just going to keep dipping my brush in different paints until I get the look that I want. It's not really necessary to paint the center of the tag since that's where my paper is going to go, but I don't want any of that white showing outside of the paper. And again, I'm just blending that paint all around the edges to get the look to match the background of the angel. Once I've got it the way I want it to look, I just set it aside to dry. I decided to add a little bit of lace to this tag just to make it a little more shabby chic. So I'm going to tuck that lace up under that tag and glue it in place. Using Mod Podge, I decoupaged my angel onto the center of the tag. You may notice I also did paint the little wood balls at the top. I didn't remove them, I just painted them as they were on there, and now I'm going back with some gold, with a gold ink pad, just to add a little bit of bling to them. And I continued with that gold ink pad around the edges, and this just brings in that gold from the sheet music. And you can see here I did add a little bit of gold to the wings as well using this gold paint pen. I got several of these little Easter pieces on clearance from Hobby Lobby, so I'm going to be painting this side with some of this barn red milk paint. It did take a couple of coats in order to cover this little bunny. Milk paint does need to be sealed, so what I'm using here is Mod Podge. Once it has been sealed and is completely dry, I'm going to be using this rub-on transfer from last year's IOD Candy Cane Cottage. And it's this cute little Santa Claus. And I'm just going to use my tool and rub it on until it is completely adhered. I'm going to burnish it down with the transfer paper, and then also I'm going to lightly sand it in two directions with my little finger sander, and it brings out some of the details of that wood underneath. I wanted to add some text to this piece, so I'm using some letters from IOD's Apothecary Stamps, and I'm stamping on the word Mary. To embellish this piece a little bit more, I'm using one of these tags. It's actually from Walmart, I believe, but it's a little too stark white. So I'm going to sand it just a little bit, and then I'm going to be using some antique wax. Actually, it's Jolie's dark wax, and I'm going to grunge that up just a little bit, including the thread. I went ahead and added some of this dark wax to the wood piece as well. To finish this little Santa off, I added a piece of lace and then added on my tag. I got this little deer at a thrift store and I did get it half price, so I got it for 50 cents. So I'm going to remove that piece of ribbon around his neck and I'm going to be painting it in a gold color. Now I do change this a little bit later, but this is actually the gold paint from Dollar Tree and it's actually a really nice coverage. It's just really bright and turned out way brighter than I had anticipated. I do want some of that gold to show through, but I'm going to coat it now with some black chalk paint. And again, I'm not looking for full coverage here. I do want some of that gold to show through. Now I'm going to go back with some antique gold rub and buff and I'm going to put this all over the deer as well. I do want little hints of that bright gold coming through. I want hints of the black coming through, but I want mostly that antique gold look. I would love to know what you think about this piece. I think it's quite the transformation from its original state. Thanks again to Katie, Jody, and Lisa for hosting today. Remember to find them in the description box below along with the playlist. Here's another video I think you might like. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share the chic. Bye now.